Hey, this is Adam again, and today I'm going to talk about selecting a surrogate or a gestational carrier, as they are sometimes referred to. Well, it is definitely a different process than selecting an egg donor. With the egg donor, we had a huge selection of women's profiles to look at, but with the surrogate, it is a bit more streamlined, probably because there are not as many women who both want to be and can be a surrogate. Um, so initially, we first talked to our coordinator at Same Love Surrogacy, and basically he asked us some questions and to find out what were absolutes, what were things that we definitely wanted or definitely did not want in a surrogate. He brought up a few different things. Location for us, we preferred surrogate who was relatively close by. The idea of traveling a long distance with a newborn after delivery was, I find it daunting. I'm told it's not a big deal because newborns sleep the whole time, but partly with the pandemic and all, I kind of wanted to try to limit that. But it wasn't an absolute for us, so it was just a preference. He brought up race. Our mind, that's pretty irrelevant. The most important thing is that the surrogate has had a natural childbirth experience that went well, and that's like a requirement. A surrogate has to have already had at least one child, so that was already met. So we didn't have a huge set of requirements, except with the pandemic, we did want a woman who it was either vaccinated against COVID or was willing to become vaccinated. Um, Apparently, there's a significant number of women who are vaccine hesitant and who are also looking to be surrogates, so that potentially could have slowed down how soon we found a surrogate, but we felt very strongly on that case because, in our minds, if they're not willing to listen to the medical advice of thousands of doctors and scientists around the world, then how can we trust they would listen to the medical advice of their own doctor during the pregnancy? So that was our view. Anyway, after talking to the coordinator, then we wait as mysterious things happen behind the scenes. And then eventually, Heath, our coordinator, got back to us and would say he found a potential surrogate, and we would get to see the surrogate's profile, the questions they had answered, some pictures. Um, and I assume the surrogates also got to see our profile with the questions we answered and our pictures. um, and again, we'd look through it for key factors, but really the biggest factor was that they had experience being pregnant, and you have to if you're going to be a surrogate. So um, uh, we didn't really find anything in either of our surrogates whose profiles we got to see that would discount them. Um, and so, assuming they also liked our profile, then they set up a video interview meeting. Um, I don't know exactly what the right word is. Gave us a chance to, sort of meet online through Zoom our potential surrogate and for her to meet us, get to know each other a little bit, ask any questions we had, um, and for the coordinator to ask specific questions that he has because in this case, in this interview, the coordinator has an agenda, has specific topics that he wants to cover because in the past, those have potentially been issues. So get it out front right at the beginning so that it is not a showing up later on in the process. So, one topic they bring up is communication style and frequency of communication. How would we all envision communicating with each other? Um, uh, what I came up with was that I would hope to get some sort of update like every week after the surrogate has, become pregnant. Don't expect long reports or anything, but just, an email or text message saying, hey, this week's been going fine, nothing really big to report, especially early on in the pregnancy, there might not be any big grand events, but, just so, we have a little idea what's going on. Um, and we're more the text message, email kind of people. Uh, and then, of course, another big topic was termination of the pregnancy. Of course, nobody wants that to happen, but there are conditions where that might be called for or potentially called for. So, wanted that out in the open right away so that there would be no issues in the future. And so, one thing they brought up was, if the doctor says that pregnancy needs to end for the health and well-being of the surrogate, would we, the intended parents, be fine with that? And yes, we would. Obviously, don't want that to happen, and it's really rare that it would. But the surrogate, she is a human being with a family, so of course we don't want anything bad to happen to her. Um, and then, of course, on the other side, what was our view? Say if there's something found abnormal during the pregnancy of the fetus. The example the coordinator brought up was Down syndrome. How, what would we want, and would the surrogate be comfortable with that? And our answer was that we would maybe we'd want to terminate the pregnancy. We would want to uh, get more information about the specific situation, but that we would want that still to be a possible option. And of course, if that was not acceptable to the surrogate, then we would not make a good match. Um, and it's unfortunate that that topic had to come up at the end of the meeting because it's kind of a bummer, So you sort of end on a down note, but um, I think the goal is by the coordinator to try to get everybody relaxed enough that, and understanding that we're just trying to figure things out, uh, that will be relaxed enough to, answer the question truthfully. Um, so that's how our interviews went. John and I have had two interviews now because we want two different surrogates relatively close together, and in both cases, the interviews went really well. The women were really great, and we uh, and they liked us. So we look forward to working with them and going through this journey with both of them. And yeah, so that's how we selected our surrogate and or how the surrogate selected us.